Welcome to the art of the soundtrack. This week we'll be looking at Bungie's first-person shooter Destiny, which has seen 4 expansions and this summer we'll see a full sequel. Anyone who has played Destiny will tell you that the soundtrack is fantastic, with the game taking out the soundtrack of the year at the Game Awards in 2014. Destiny's original soundtrack had lots of unique music. From the second you load up the game, you'll hear its theme music drawing you in. Destiny is an online first-person shooter with MMO influences, with a leveling system and loot drops. The game has progressed so far in its years after its launch, with lots of the expansions changing systems for the better. Just a quick warning that this video does feature spoilers. To start, we'll look at the original game and its music. The main screen of Destiny is being in orbit, with your ship being displayed on screen, where you can load up your next activity solo or with friends. The music that plays in the background being very subtle and soothing. Some of my favourite music can be found here. The original campaign had some great music written for it, like one of the first missions on Earth called The Last Array, with your character trying to find an old array to set up communications with other planets in the solar system. At the end of the mission you find a computer system that controls it. As the array is turned on, you are rushed by the Hive, one of Destiny's enemies, with their tomb ships flying in and dropping enemies off, and you have to fight them off until the array has finally erected. The music does a fantastic job of building tension in the fight. Also, the first strike in the game, the Devil's Lair, has you facing off against a fallen servitor as the final boss. The fight has you killing waves of enemies while damaging the servitor. The music really helps it make it feel like it's an epic battle. Another one is once you go to the moon in-game. The second level is called The World's Grave, and it jumps into music that Bungie have never had in a game before, with a dark electro track that lots of people call The World's Grave. Last is the final mission of the story, set on Mars with you entering the Vex's Black Garden. The final fight has 2 pieces of music playing as you face off against 3 Vex bosses. Both tracks do a great job of building an intense atmosphere. The first raid in Destiny, the Vault of Glass, is definitely an experience that Destiny players will never forget. However, the raid didn't feature any music, but this helps with the tone of the raid, building tension in the encounters. Vanilla Destiny definitely had its problems, but the soundtrack was not one of them. The game continued to grow with its expansions, and the music was no different. The first expansion was called The Dark Below. It was focused around a Hive prince. Although the story is short, it did feature a couple good tracks. The music matched the Hive's gothic feel, the most distinct track being in the raid Crota's End, that played during the final boss fight, as the Swordbearer jumped up and damages Crota. This was the first raid in Destiny to feature music. The next expansion was the House of Wolves, that told the story of Skolas, a fallen Kell trying to take over the other fallen houses in order to destroy the city. It had great music throughout. This time we didn't get a raid but the Prison of Elders, which is a horde mode style fight, with the final boss being Skolas. This expansion started to fix lots of the game systems for the better. 1 year after Destiny's release, we saw an expansion that expanded on everything from gameplay, story, and soundtrack, called The Taken King. The Hive's King Oryx has come for revenge for Crota. This expansion has all new music. My favourite track plays in the final mission Regicide, as you fight Oryx in his throne room. One of the new strikes called the Sunless Cell, which has you going into a pitch black cell to kill a Hive Knight that rebelled against Oryx, has awesome music and is my favourite strike of the game. The new raid Kingsfall also has new music that plays in most encounters, and was the first raid to see challenge modes, which Bungie would later add to all raids later down the line. The Taken King had lots of new features that added to the game to make it better, and its campaign was a step up from the original one. Destiny had one more expansion a year later, with Rise of Iron, which featured all new music again. The story follows the Guardians dealing with the Fallen, who have uncovered Siva. Rise of Iron has a very medieval feel to it, and the music is no different. The expansion has a new raid called Wrath of the Machine, which has some of the best new tracks in it. With Rise of Iron saw the Devil's Lair strike return, but this time with the metal band doing a cover of the song from the final boss fight that Bungie liked so much they put it in their game. Destiny is one of the best soundtracks of any video game, and will be remembered for a long time for that. Destiny 2 is almost 1 month away, and if the theme song is anything to go by, I think we'll have an awesome soundtrack as well. I've listed all tracks I've played below. I hope you guys found this interesting, and thanks for watching. You guys know the deal. If you're logged in and can be stuffed, like, comment, subscribe, and if not, have a nice day.